told in the chat, so congrats, way to go. And the answer that I was looking for as to what Goya stands for is get off your Asaraf. All right, let me put this aside and let's keep having fun. If you're having fun, type in, John, we're having fun. I'm learning, growing, and getting excited. What I can share with you is there's more amazing guests coming up. And my next guest standing right over here, she's waiting patiently. She's been watching the show the whole day, is Dr. Heidi Hanna. And she is CEO and founder of Synergy, which is an integrative neuroscience partnership that provides brain-based training for individuals and organizations. And her publications include New York Times bestseller, The Sharp Solution, a brain-based approach for optimal performance, Stressaholic, 5 steps to transform your relationship with stress and recharge, 5 shifts to energize your life. And in 2011, she's smiling over here, Heidi became fellow with the American Institute of Stress, and she currently serves as the editor of their quarterly publication, Contentment, And then her clients have included Johnson & Johnson, PepsiCo, Cisco, Dell, Intel, Procter & Gamble, Morgan Stanley, ESPN, Starbucks, as well as professional and amateur athletes. So let's welcome together, even though I fumbled a little bit of her bio, let's welcome together Heidi Hanna, Dr. Heidi Hanna. Hey there, Heidi. Awesome. So Heidi and I became friends because we're both passionate about the neuroscience field, and we have a mutual friend, my buddy Bill Trimble, our buddy Bill Trimble, who lives in Vancouver. And so, Heidi, I know that just before we got onto the set together, you said that there was some stuff that happened today that you wanted to share. I have no idea what it is, but since I love her and trust her, come on, share.
Thank you. I love the love, love the trust. So I showed up and said, I want to go off script. I want to do something a little bit different because I feel like this is really where the story's at for me. So I woke up this morning. We had a great dinner last night. I woke up this morning with a killer migraine. And I wanted to be here in the studio with you all day. And we've had all these great experts. And I couldn't get out of bed. And so I stayed in bed and I had the Brain of Thon on as I'm watching all of these experts and I'm dealing with this migraine. I'm getting more and more excited. But I couldn't get here. And what I started thinking about is the reality of what it's like to know something and not be able to do something, information versus transformation. And here you are, you have these so-called experts on, and you're so kind to call me an expert, and I'm watching these success stories thinking, these are the experts, these are the people who are really living this stuff. And here I am actually with a migraine, not because I get migraines normally, but because I'm exhausted and I'm an energy expert. And I thought about really the story that I want to share. You're giving this time to speak to your audience and friends and family of mine who are joining to watch. What I really want to share is I want to become a success story. I want to join the program. I am so inspired and motivated by the experts and the people who've been on that I commit to start tomorrow and actually be hopefully a success story next year when I'm not so exhausted. So yes, I want to talk about stress and I want to talk about energy, but the reality is knowing something and doing something are so different. And I've been struggling each year as I get more quote unquote successful and get more expert in my field that there's this block that's still happening for me. And honestly, as hard as it is for me to admit this, it's financial. And that financial stress is what's really wearing me out from doing the work that I love. So I'm getting the education, I'm getting the information, I'm making contacts, I'm traveling the world, and people on the outside are saying, you have tremendous success, and I'm worried about paying my bills. And a lot of people don't realize that. And so as I'm hearing these stories and these experts and thinking about my own story, in fact, what I had hoped to originally kick off with is the fact that John had asked me a year ago, what would it take for you to get to $1 million business? And I jokingly say this, but it's true what happened. I threw up in my mouth a little bit. And the reason I share that is because I had such fear about what it meant to have $1 million business. And it wasn't even about the work I needed to do. It was about what it meant to be successful. That for some reason in my life, I've been pushing success away financially because of what I think it means to be successful, that it's egotistical, that it's narcissistic, that you're the center of attention. It's all these negative things that really, for me, triggered that fear response that didn't allow me to have the type of life success that does require some of that financial support, obviously. So I'm looking at all of this from a different place, watching the Brain-a-thon so far, really being inspired and excited to be on this journey with you. So I wanted to say thank you for that, and we can get to the rest of the questions. questions now.
Listen, we couldn't have scripted that, okay? I love Heidi's vulnerability. That's one of the reasons she's so special. She loves to help people. But one of the things that she just, showed me is how powerful your money story is. And until you come face to face with that's what's driving, okay, a lot of your life story and your decisions, you're not going to change it. You're going to keep going into your comfort zone to the point of being sick in her case, which I don't want for anybody. And so let's talk a little bit about the stress, okay? Because one of the things that I shared with people that we'd be talking about was when people are worried about money, not making enough, not having enough, or having credit card bills and robbing Peter to pay Paul and working hard and maybe just, not having enough for retirement and knowing that they're going to live longer now, that causes a lot of stress.
Tremendous.
And so when that happens, what is happening in their brains and why should they stop now?
Yeah. So I think the first thing is understanding the way that the brain is wired. So we actually have 5 times more negative, fear-based circuits in the brain than positive. And I make jokes about this all the time. I mean, everything we see in the world is more negative than positive. In fact, even at Disney, where I used to work, there's 7 dwarves and only 1 is happy. So look at that. I mean, we're surrounded by negativity. And someone was talking earlier about the fact that the news media knows that fear grabs our attention. So one of the things that happens is non-consciously, we have these biases that pay more attention to what's potentially negative. And the only thing really about the human brain that's dramatically different is that we can anticipate fear that's not even really there. We can imagine a wild boar in the bushes when it's not actually even there. So I think what happens to a lot of people is that non-conscious bias to anticipate potential stress that could be caused by financial worries is actually limiting the brain's ability to be creative, to be flexible. In fact, we're doing studies now in the brains of entrepreneurs and successful entrepreneurs with a group called Entrepreneurs Organization. And what we found is that their motor coordination is faster, their cognitive flexibility is greater, and their positivity bias is higher. So what's actually happening is they're making decisions quicker, and then they're deciding to make those decisions right, as opposed to waiting for the right decision. Now, why this becomes important is that positivity bias, positivity training, relaxation training, priming the brain to be positive, allows the brain to be more flexible so that you can make the best of any situation. So even if you don't make the perfect decision, you take action, you start moving, and you have the cognitive flexibility and the creativity to really look at the world in a more positive place. So it's not about being positive so that we can all be cheery. As Dr. Amen said, we don't want people that are seeing the world with rose-colored glasses, but positively realistic, that we have the resources we need to be able to accomplish tremendous things. So that awareness of really what we've been talking about, non-conscious stress, because a lot of people will say, I don't have any stress, but it's the stress that they're not aware of that's really driving the brain in this inflexible way.
I love it. One of the things that Heidi said that reminded me of something about the brain, that it's consistently predicting, what may happen in the future. So once it recognizes a pattern, or once it's used to operating a pattern, it predicts in advance the outcome of that pattern, and then all of the thoughts and the feelings and the behaviors follow suit. And so if you've been in a stressful situation where you're not making enough or making just enough to make ends meet, chances are that's a pattern that you're gonna predict and repeat over and over and over again until you break the pattern. And the pattern, guess where it exists? It doesn't exist out there. It's in here, projected out there.
That's right.
And that's the whole difference. And that's why we start with retraining your brain while we upgrade your knowledge and skills. And so for the people who are watching right now, they're nodding their heads. Yes, this is me. What do you tell them? What can they do? What are some exercises they can do to recognize? I want you to recognize your pattern. I'm good with that. I just don't want you to repeat it if it's not a pattern that's going to move you towards living a great or exceptional life. So if somebody is feeling stress right now, and they're just caught up in the cycle. And because if you're in a cycle right now of not enough or just a little more than enough, this isn't because of what's happened in the last 30 days that you're in this pattern. You have had this pattern for months or years or decades for the most part. So the person who is stressing out about money or lack of money right now, what do you tell them that they can start inner side doing today?
So I'm going to give you two things. One is really fast, so I'm going to say that for last. The other thing is, understand that your brain really operates like the CFO of an organization. Your brain is constantly looking at your system holistically and trying to determine if you have enough resources. So nutrition, for example, movement, making sure you're moving every 90 minutes, making sure you're eating every 3 to 4 hours, making sure you're getting at least 8 hours of sleep. I know those things may not sound like they have anything to do with financial success, but you're priming the brain with the resources it needs so that CFO brain that's really saying, if we don't have enough, we have to conserve, is now saying, wait, there's abundance. We have glucose and oxygen. We have sleep. Our cortisol levels are coming down. Now our system's functioning better, and the CEO heart that is saying, this is what I want, can get the resources it needs from that CFO brain. What usually happens for people, that cognitive dissonance, in my opinion, is when the brain and the body are out of alignment. So the brain is saying, wait a second, you want all of these things, but you're exhausted. Wait a second, you say you want to perform at high levels, but you're not feeding yourself every 3 to 4 hours. So there's some consistency in recharging ourselves through nutrients and really looking at the whole system and how we work. The simple one is my own personal inner size that I've been using for a long time. And it's really just getting those systems into alignment by closing your eyes. And in fact, I'd encourage you to do it now, as hard as it is to slow down when we have so much to cover. If you're watching this, close your eyes, pay attention to your breath. Feel your heart beating. And actually, just by slowing your breath down to what we know clinically has been shown to calm the system, 6 breaths per minute, that awareness of the breath and the heartbeat tells the brain that you have everything you need right now. And so the mantra, the inner that I do in this state of relaxation is to say to myself, as I'm breathing in, I have enough. And as I'm breathing out, to say, I am enough. I have enough, I am enough, and that's very different because we're talking here about wanting more, but I'm telling you, your brain has to believe first that it has enough before it can have more. It has to believe it's safe before it can then go towards reward. And so we have to train ourselves, and I know your program incorporates a lot of that you're getting the brain training and you're getting that positive priming, but this needs to be a commitment as powerful to anything you do. You have to train yourself to be okay not doing for a while, being still and really convincing the brain that you have everything you need right now, then it can go after more.
I love that. And which camera should I be looking at? The middle one or the one on the right over here? This one here? That one there. So one of the things I love about that is I know the power of being still and being in a meditative state. And I just want to make sure, and I'll cover more about this later, but every one of our audio levels has time for you to be still and be quiet so that you can listen to your higher heart functions, to listen to your higher intelligent, intuitive functions of your mind as well. What I can share with you is people are loving that you shared, your story, your vulnerability in your story. And Margaret from Brazil said, "Thank you, Dr. Hanna, for being so authentic and making us all feel normal and knowing that it's possible to change." And so, Heidi asked me if it was okay to go off, the questions I was going to ask her. I said, yeah, if you feel that's, I'm going to go with your intuition and what you feel is the right thing to do for you to send and spread your message, with the people. And that's why I love bringing brilliant individuals who are heart-centered, who want to make a difference in the world.
And plus it means that you have to have me back because everyone's going to be wondering, did she do it? Did she take better care of herself? So that's a commitment for both of us, right?
Yeah, what's interesting is we were at dinner last night, and Heidi started to meet some of the other guests, that are experts, and some of the other guests who are the real experts, who are, who bought the Way the Game of Money program program and have been applying it. And she was like, "You're doing what? And you're doing what? And you're doing what?" And she said to me, today, she says, "I'm starting to win the game of money program." And she's got such amazing work. She's part of our faculty and part of helping us, spread the message and to upgrade your knowledge and your skills so that you really become the person that you're capable of becoming. And that's, you know what that is. You know inside you. And what I can say is, with Heidi, you, like me, love being all that you can be, right? And you, like Heidi, love being all that you can be. And that's why she was able to be vulnerable, because it's in our humanity that we are able to touch people's lives. And that's why I started earlier today with my stories. And people see I'm successful now, but they don't see what it's taken to get here. They don't see, the kid that was challenged and troubled and got in trouble. They don't see the challenges I've had throughout my life. They see what they see on camera right now, and they see the results, but they don't see the trials and tribulations. And it's our ability to recognize and then have the skills to overcome them that is what allows us to grow. And so I'm excited that you're going to be a user, of the program, because I know you've had a chance to look at the program. So let me ask you a question, because this may answer some questions for other people. You've had access to actually doing the program, right?
Yes.
So you've had access to actually doing the program, and you didn't. Why?
This is a story that a lot of the experts, the real experts, the success stories have been sharing, is the fear of disappointing yourself.
So you can say the fear of disappointing myself.
The fear of it's even hard to say that. It's really, I've had this resource, and you know what? Let me add one thing. So part of it is the fear of disappointing myself. Okay, now I'm going to try another thing and I'm going to fail. So if I try another thing and I fail, then it's not the thing, it's me, right? So I can't handle that right now.
So what you're doing is you're avoiding disappointing yourself one more time.
Because I'm good at disappointing myself.
You've
mastered that, right? Srini was talking about that.
We all have that. And by the way, just so you all know, what happens when that stress happens neurologically, and I'll let Heidi continue, or I can, but we both know that as soon as that stress happens, there's a possibility I'll disappoint myself and embarrass myself, even if it's to myself, forget about anybody else, the amygdala, the fear response mechanism in the brain kicks in and releases an electrical and chemical signal that shuts down your motor cortex, your ability to actually take action. And guess what you do? You either freeze, don't do anything, you fight it, or you run away. That's the natural response of your brain when you're going to be embarrassed or ashamed or disappointed. The key, though, that I've learned is to be able to recognize that emotion, the energy in motion. That's called emotion. Energy, flows throughout us. You've got 100 trillion cells in your body. Okay, all energy. And so when you feel something, feelings, as you will learn from one of our other faculty members, Dr. Joan Rosenberg, aren't good or bad. They're pleasant or unpleasant to varying degrees. And when you feel an emotion that isn't serving you, that's unpleasant, or that may be stopping you from taking action, you could be aware of that and move to a higher cortical function using your left prefrontal cortex, your CEO of your brain, and override the fear response, release the emotion, use the motivational circuits to help you, and then you take action on something that may have caused you to be afraid before.
Yeah, and let me add to that too. I mean, the whole reason I wrote the book Stressaholic was because stress is highly addictive. So I remember having an experience. I was doing a retreat, and here I am teaching relaxation. And I was very excited to have my own personal retreat at the same time. So I gave myself an extra day. I went to the spa, I sat in the jacuzzi, and I remember this like it was yesterday. There was a list of things to do. It's basically like to relax, do these things. And I thought, this is perfect. All I have to do is follow along. So I got in the hot tub, I closed my eyes, and about 30 seconds into it, I thought, this is absolutely miserable. I hate relaxing. It's not fun. It's not exciting. I want to work, not because I have to work, but because that's where my passion is. And so one of the things I like people to understand is that passion is extraordinary and beautiful, but it requires energy, or I should say, and it requires energy. So the higher you're going to push yourself and the more intensity you're going to bring, the more you have to train yourself to recover. So recognizing that stress and the chemicals released when we experience a stress response are highly addicted to the brain allows you to be able to say, like I do now, well, that's just my brain trying to protect me. In fact, I call my brain my frenemy.
Your frenemy.
My frenemy brain, because my frenemy is like kind of trying to be nice to me and kind of being a jerk at the same time, right? So here I am with all this information, access to be able to use the system, and it's like that frenemy brain is saying, yeah, that sounds good, but you don't have enough time, you don't have enough energy, everybody else needs you. You know, there's all of these other reasons that get in the way. We call them excuses, but they're really just confirming that whole pattern that we had before about disappointment. The other piece I really think is important for this is information overload. There is so much great information out there, as you mentioned in the beginning, about neuroplasticity and brain training, and I get to do a lot of that work too, but even as an expert who's studying it, there's so much that we can get analysis paralysis and just trying to figure out what to do. So what I love about your program is that you've really simplified it, that here it all is, and you're willing to say, look, I'm not the expert, I have the experts in a system, putting it together in a way that all you have to do is log in, follow along, be part of the community. And by the way, being part of the community is huge. Another person studying the brain discovers a study that shows that feeling isolated is worse for your health than smoking cigarettes.
Wow.
Feeling isolated is an emergency signal to the brain that says if something happens, you're all alone in this. Now that really shook me up, because here I am, as I'm sure you are too, with thousands of people I get to speak to every day. But when I come home to San Diego and I have a flat tire, I can't go on Facebook and have people come rescue me. So the brain requires deep, meaningful social connections. And a lot of that is being with like-minded people. So the community that's part of your program, I mean, really, you've done such a great job of taking what's out there, what's scientifically validated, and making it simple, because the brain craves simplicity and what actually works.
I love it. And one of the things that Heidi has graciously done as part of this Brainathon is this. When you order the Complete Win the Game of Money program, Heidi is going to give you her book, and you're going to get it specifically in a digital download, and you're going to be able to read her book, Recharge, Investment Strategy for Your Most Valuable Resource, okay? So Heidi, what specifically is this going to do for everybody who takes action today?
I love it. So this book actually came from a place of trying to simplify the concept. So just like Dr. Amen, which by the way, I have to repeat this, it was one of the best things I heard all day. People ask me, what's the one thing I could do? What's the one thing around nutrition? What's the one thing around exercise? And I will always remember Dr. Amen's response. The one thing you should do is stop being stupid and do them all. That is so beautiful. So anyway, so I put this book together to answer that question. And there are 5 critical times during the day. It's before you go to bed, when you first wake up, every choice you make around eating, moving your body, and taking breaks. Those are the 5 shifts. And I'll give you specific things that you can do around those times to really recharge your energy so that your brain is in alignment with your heart and what you most want. And before I end, I just have to say, I know my dad is watching this, and I know that he is so excited right now that I'm going to break through my own financial barrier. So we'll come back and talk to you about that. So Dad, yes, I am going to do better and ask for more money, as Mark was saying, and feel confident in that and not let my own money story get in the way anymore. So thank you from both of us.
You're welcome. Hi to Heidi's dad. What's his name?
Mike.
Hi, Mike.
Yes.
Mike Hanna, thank you so much for having such an amazing daughter. People love you. Heidi, thank you for this amazing gift that people will get, once they sign up for our program. They're going to get to, learn more from you as well. And the one thing that I want to do is, here's a challenge to all of you. I'm going to challenge Heidi to getting through the program, okay, from start to finish, and to be in our community to journal her notes on what she's learning, what she's experiencing, and what she's feeling. And I'm going to challenge every one of you that makes a decision right now to follow the journey with us in our private community. I will all be coaching you, and Mark Walton will be coaching you as you retrain your brain and upgrade your knowledge and your skills. Deal?
Deal.
All right, so she's in. Mike, I want you to help me get her committed. She's going to do it. And for all of you that are now ready, let's give her an amazing high five and thank you. We've got people that are loving it.
Thank you.
You're the best. Thank you so much.
See you on Facebook, right?
See you in our community. All right. So for those of you that have just joined us, I mentioned this to you earlier, and it's this. I am committed to your success. And I may be more committed to it than you are. And the deadline to take advantage of this program is tonight at midnight. And I've given you an entire package to help you retrain your brain, upgrade your knowledge and skills, and give you the support that you need for a whole year. Now, I want you to think about this. I've personally invested over $1 million of my own earned money